Welcome back, everyone, to another session of Crituitous RP. Thank you for joining us this week. We left off the adventure previously with the party members chasing off after Blagothcus. Bit of history and reminder. Back a longer time ago, back when the party first encountered the Eye of the Allfather, the oracle that helped them to be able to identify locations of spirit mounds and whatnot that kind of moved the story along in terms of the Storm King's Thunder campaign. They encountered a dead cloud giant by the name of Aegeron. Aegeron's spirit animated itself and instructed the party, asked them to avenge his death. They found out that through the oracle that Blagothcus had murdered his son when asking the oracle to help him know what he must do next to gain to be more powerful in the eyes of Anam the Allfather. Unfortunately, the oracle told him that he will never gain the favor of Anam, and instead told him that his son would take his place and be greater far than him. In anger, he killed his son and turned away from Anam the Allfather. Servitude to a powerful dragon that promised to right all of these wrongs and to help him. Blagothcus then took his cloud castle, left the people, the other cloud giants behind that didn't want to follow him, and began serving Imrith. We found out recently that as a result of Imrith's death by the hands of this party, Blagothcus tried whatever he could to gain some leverage over the party, and managed to find and capture Brigid, which was the love interest for our dear bard. The party headed off to and stormed the castle, and in a heroic battle with griffins flying through the sky and a castle floating high above the head of the mountains, the party did bring Blagothcus down to his knees. In taking him down, he dropped a powerful orb that seemed to be connected to the control of this particular castle. So, we will rejoin the party. If I remember correctly, we have Artir, who has just landed the final blow on Blagothcus, causing him to drop the sphere. Gamel floating above on the griffin.
That's right.
Osrin, you landed, didn't you? Or no, you're still on your... okay, so Osrin is still flying above. Loic had gone to take over some of the towers, and then came back to get involved with the fray. Meanwhile, Eren and Danrik are taking Brigid back to the ship. So, as the orb leaves Blagothcus's hand, the yellow light that it seemed to be giving off immediately dulls and disappears. It looks more like a brass orb at this point, and it begins to roll away from him. The entire castle shifts and dips and begins to fall in free fall through the sky. I need everyone who is on the ground, which I believe is just Artir, to roll a dexterity saving throw.
And that is the last thing I rolled, and
yes.
It was
an 18, right?
I have
Unless
advantage.
You had advantage
on dex saves if I can see the thing and react to it.
Yes. So you saw the orb leave his hand. You saw the floor begin to shift and duck. You just managed to hold your ground as it's beginning to fall. What do you do, Artir? Or what does everyone do? Because all of the cloud giants are freaking out.
Is Artir bright enough to understand the link between the now dim orb as the result or the cause of the plummeting castle?
What's your intelligence score?
It is 12.
I think so, yeah.
Can I try to grab the orb?
Yeah. Go ahead and trying to think of what skill you would utilize as the ship is falling to run and grab. I would think athletics to see if you can quickly run, go and grab it. Go ahead and roll an athletics check. Okay, 27. Easy. You almost slide down and you grab hold of it. It feels arcane in nature, but you don't know how to activate it. The whole thing is still sliding. All of the cloud giants that were standing are now struggling to hold on as they all slide up against the wall. The castle is about to shift almost vertical at this point. What's everyone else doing?
Dimension door.
Loic, help me with this thing!
I dimension door.
I dive down at them to try and help out as well.
Okay, so who are you dimension dooring? Are you just popping out by yourself, Loic?
Yeah, I'm popping off of my griffin, and I'm going to land right next to Artir, who is holding the orb.
Okay, so you're dimension dooring to Artir. Ah, okay, that makes sense. So you just appear next to him. As you're standing, I'm assuming you kind of wrap a tentacle around Artir's waist to keep hold of him as he's holding onto the stonework of the now shifting castle. Gamel, what are you doing?
Seeing that Loic did that, I'm actually going to go fly over to the other griffin, see if I can get his reins, and then try to fly both of them down, just in case we got to fly out of there, so we have 2 mounts to load up on instead of 1.
Okay, all right. Go ahead and roll an animal handling check, as you have to handle someone else's mount.
And I'll remind you, my psychic focus right now is bestial form, so I get an advantage on this roll.
Yep. Okay. It takes a bit of coercing, but since you're leading the griffin towards Loic, it seems to be comfortable with it. All right, Loic and Artir in the position. The body of Blagothkus begins to slide down the side of the castle. What are you doing?
You wanna? Yeah. Okay. Can I make some kind of ability check to figure out how to use this thing quickly?
Okay. An Arcana check would be able to tell you that it is magical and in nature, but not how to use it. For that, you would need to identify.
Identification takes 1 minute. Can't do that quickly.
No. So you could roll an Arcana check for me. Okay. When you grab hold of it, you feel the essence of magic within it. It needs to be triggered somehow. And you've dealt with items of this particular nature before that require some form of activation. It doesn't require attunement, so...
I'm going to dump some spell power into it.
Mm-hmm. All right. What level of spell level will you dump into it?
I need to make sure this works. Absolutely. So I'll go ahead and use my 6th level spell slot for it.
Okay. Pouring the energy into the sphere, I need you to roll a spellcasting ability check. So it's intelligence for you, I believe. Okay, cool. With the aid of the magic that you poured into it, using up that 6th level spell slot, focusing in on the very core of your nature that brings the magic and how you manipulate the weave, you feel the flare of energy. The sphere explodes in a brilliant flash of yellow light. It's not actually exploded, it's still safely in your hand, but you feel you now have minute control of the ship. It immediately begins to level out, at which point you look back, there's a whole mess of cloud giants just fallen over each other, tangled up at the side. Seems like the situation is in your control. What are you guys doing?
I'll come land the griffins by Loic and Artir.
Does it look like the giants are gearing up to take another offensive move towards us?
Thanks to the intimidation or persuasion rolls, I think it was persuasion that you guys did prior to finishing off Blagothicus, talking to them and communicating with them prior, they had started questioning their allegiance anyway. And finally, when seeing you take down their leader and then one of you take successful full control over the castle, they all, not that they have weapons in their hands anyway because they're fallen over, but they all drop any sort of sense of aggression towards you, and they're just stood there staring at you, waiting to see what you do.
And how are Aaron and Danric and Bridget doing?
That's kind of, what are they up to?
They're on a magic carpet somewhere else, right?
Aaron was probably watching in awe, going,
Because to your view, you were headed towards the to your ship. Suddenly, the other ship starts dipping to the ground for a second, moving away from you, and then levels itself out.
yeah.
What do you do?
It's like sitting in the boats watching the Titanic go down. Like, how am I going to do about that? Can I see that my wife's okay?
Yes, by now, when it's leveled out, you can see that everyone's okay.
I'm out of the way.
That's my main
I'm staying
priority.
out of the way.
That's my, I'm going to get the lovebirds back on the ship, and that's my main priority now. And then seeing that there's some kind of control, I'll be telling our captain to get to take the ship over. I'm assuming that, I don't know what's really going on, but the dipping and thing, I could probably make an assumption that we have gained control of it somehow.
Right, so dropping off Bridget and Stephen, they're going to be off in the ship for the rest of today's session. We won't be dragging... did I say Stephen?
They haven't
Danric.
seen each
Yeah.
other for a long time. You need some alone time.
Mm-hmm. So they're up on the ship. You guys resume your position. By this point, Erin, you can get down to the ship to see Osrin, who's fine because she's been on top of the flying griffin the whole time. You come in to the aftermath and watching the almost stalemate between the giants and Artir and Loic. The stare down.
Okay. What are we doing now?
I guess I'll walk over to the giants.
One of them steps forward a little bit as you begin to step forward towards him.
Say, we have taken over your castle. Your liege lord, he was evil and unfit for command. This castle is ours now. You are welcome to join us on our mission to kill more dragons, if that is in your blood.
Roll a persuasion check. I'm tired of killing and would like to go home.
Where is home for you?
For me, it is high above. Gotta remember the name of the mountain range. My map is taking forever to load. There we go. The Sword Mountains, actually. High above the Sword Mountains.
Does Artir know where the Sword Mountains is?
You know they are north of Waterdeep and south of Neverwinter. In fact, they're almost immediately north of Waterdeep.
They're basically where Aaron's cabin is, on the edge of the Sword Mountains.
Well, if our quarrel was with Lagothkus, we have no reason to be enemies. And I am, on behalf of Twilight's Errand, I am happy to call our aggressions at a stop and allow you to return to your home.
Will you allow all of my kin to return?
Before you answer that, Artir, ask them about the maintenance and keep up of this place. Perhaps we require their services until we find replacements.
It is good thinking, Lloyd. I do not wish to rob any of your kin of their own liberty. However, we ask in return for our mercy and compassion, a return in exchange of goodwill, and tell us how to care for this castle.
This castle was built for both giants and small folk to work together. There are living quarters for both and all sizes. There are stables for you to keep your beasts. But keeping it afloat only requires that. And he points towards the sphere now glowing in Loic's hand.
Loic, do you know how to use this sphere?
With a very short amount of time, I will know everything about it, yes.
Very well. I would like to meet all of your kin before you set off. I wish to extend them the invitation to become junior members of Twilight's Errand, if they so desire.
It can be lucrative.
All of them?
Any of your kin who are posted in this castle, I would like to meet.
Aaron's going to just walk up to Artir and just nudge him and just we quietly whisper, this holds giants. If they don't want to do it, maybe we can get hackathons to get on board.
Did you want to ask Hackathon to come on our castle?
Oh, he wanted envoys. We could spirit an envoy. He can make marketing decisions as we travel. It might be lucrative for him. I don't know if we could trust these guys. I'd rather have hackathons on board.
We have an open method of communication for them, but these guys are here now and are about to leave, so I wish
No,
to...
that's fine. I'll just bring it out there.
He calls out and speaks in Giant, calling for all of his folk to come upstairs. And you see a doorway over
I'm going to ask
You
them
can
to
see
bring
it
any
anyway.
prisoners they have up here as well.
Okay. Giants begin climbing up the stairs. You see there's a fair number of individuals, and hopefully get just a little bit nervous as they begin to crowd around you. Slowly but surely, they will bring up 2 remaining prisoners. 2 individuals that are tired, exhausted, chained up. They will release them and kind of shove them towards you. These are the 2 individuals that Erin saw.
So Erin knows there was 4 in there, which included Bridget.
Yeah, one got killed.
So, Erin doesn't know.
Okay.
There was 3 left down there. Where's the 3rd?
Someone kidnapped one of them.
Yes. There was 4 in total. We kidnapped 1. There was 3 left. You brought me 2. Where's the 3rd?
It was an accident.
Inside check.
Go ahead and roll an insight check.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh.
If it was an accident, it's the worst accident you've ever heard of. He's lying.
He accidentally fell under your mace, huh?
He's lying, but you can tell that he regrets that action immediately. You can see that there is remorse in his eyes.
Were you under orders to do that? Or was that your own inspiration?
Those were the orders. We only acted under the orders given to us.
Was that an insight check?
On
that?
They're all new insight, or do I use my old 27?
Roll a new one.
Roll a new one, it's still 27.
Yeah. That's true. It's true. You'd think if these guys were working off their own initiative, they'd have attacked you by now once they all gathered together.
I was going to be a bit annoyed about it, but he's technically a soldier, so he's
So, I'm gonna, Aaron, maybe you can take these guys on the carpet back to the ship to rest and get some provisions. I take them on the Griffins, but I'm worried.
The carpet's not big enough for 3. I can only take myself and 1 small person, maybe.
Take Darling. My Griffin.
All right,
Darling
yeah,
is a Griffin.
Okay. All right, so I'll load up. I'll use one of the Griffins. Actually, I have my Griffin and Darling. I could take the 2 of them.
To be fair, at this
With
point,
us too, right?
I imagine I brought the ship in with us. I imagine the ship's overhead. We could just throw the ladder down. Or
It's not far away.
I can do trips if that's the case.
Could anchor it.
Well, if these guys are like emaciated, I don't think they're climbing a rope ladder 50 feet.
That'd be
But Gamble could absolutely have one of them on his back and climb the ladder.
But let's pull the cliffs of insanity. I'll just strap them both to me and just climb up. Straight up the wall.
And in a fit of athletics that belies your size and ability, you are easily able to carry these 2 withered individuals up towards the ship to safety and to get some attention from your crew, who will immediately begin taking care of them and making sure they are safe.
Last week,
With that, the giant... Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
last week, Osrin's prime evil awareness identified at least a few dozen humanoids. Did you communicate that to everyone? Or is that just something you know?
I can't remember, but I was going to actually ask that. So are there any other prisoners on this ship we need to know about?
No prisoners.
So how many humans do you have?
There were some servants of the Blue Lady below.
Were?
I don't suspect they'll still be there.
Can you tell?
Yeah, can I do a check?
Mm-hmm. You sense with your primeval awareness that all of those that you had previously sensed are still within 5 miles of you,
Okay.
but they're all headed away. They are moving away from you.
Okay. Can I sense that they're alive?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. No,
Well, yeah.
Okay.
They didn't fall out and then
They're not falling downwards.
Outwards. One of the cloud giants will explain that the stables had a lot of wyverns that these men and women that support the dragon would ride. So you do have a group of wyverns that may be tearing away from the city out of view.
Okay.
You can chase them down if you wish. They won't stop you.
Mr.
So
Mr.
I'm
Giant.
just-
Oh, go ahead.
Telepathically, I'm just going to communicate. Look, I just want to get everybody off of this thing, so we can take some time to This is too much for us to be poking around without getting jumped from behind. I just want everybody off this thing so we can fly off and then take some time to figure this out in peace. And that's telepathic, so no one else hears it. And I'm just sitting on my griffin.
Would you guys prefer to make a journey yourself?
We will do it by ourselves. Just get us low enough that we can land safely.
Sounds fine with me. Let's clear it out.
And would you do so, Loic?
Yeah, but yeah, smartly. We're
Yeah.
over mountains right now, I think.
So carefully and slowly. It'll take you the better part of about an hour or so to really get the nerves of the controls to such a degree that you can slowly dip the ship down right next to the mountain range that you're at, close enough that they can jump off without too much concern, and they all immediately begin tearing off. One of the giants does begin to pick up Blagothcus's body. Do any of you object?
Have we checked it yet?
Can we check it first? Yeah.
You wanna?
Let's
You
loot
wanna
it.
I would have
loot
looted that.
Blagothcus?
I would have looted that when I landed. Sorry.
You had other things to worry about at that time. Okay, so investigation check as you loot Blagothcus.
Can we help you, darling?
I am.
Yes, please help me.
I know where to look in these giants.
Oh, yeah, you do.
I do.
Did you get in?
What do I roll?
Investigation.
Oh,
Oh.
no, sorry, no
Right.
chance for me.
You find all you can really find on his body. Most of the stuff that he had probably fell out when the ship was shifting and moving. You don't find anything except one solid gold bar.
Would you find that unusual?
Is that unusual?
A gold bar?
People don't tend to deal in gold bars these days,
Yeah.
but a certain smith would have no problem melting it down into coins and minting his own gold pieces.
Dude, we could actually make a Twilight Aaron specific coin. Commemorative collector's edition. It'd be great.
You should totally do that.
Then if you have no objections, they will carry off the body.
I would I will ask the giant who is carrying him off. What is your intention with the body?
To lay him to rest properly, so that his spirit will be free of whatever cursed his mind.
His son isn't free.
Where
His
is
son
his
remains
son?
in the halls of the All-Father because he's tormented. Do you think this man, this giant, deserves any less than his son that he murdered?
I know not of such things.
What
Only
would you
that
do?
respects should be observed.
Aaron, I know you like playing devil's advocate sometimes, but let's not keep the angry ghost of Blagothcus around.
Fine. Faking.
You'll start to smell in a few days.
Then, one by one, each of the giants begins to take off and head off towards the mountains, heading west. The ogres follow suit, leaving you all, miraculously, in control of a giant castle in the sky.
Amazing.
So, tell me about this orb here. Is it technically a concentration spell?
It is technically a concentration spell. In order to keep going, the moment you break concentration, you must once again refill it with the spell slot energy. Now that being said, obviously you're going to have to sleep at some point, and you're not going to be able to keep concentration going for forever. It is, and you'll identify, you'll test, you'll work things out. You will find that there is another part to this sphere. When you identify it, it's not completely complete. And so, a quick search of this castle, you'll find that high in the highest point of the rearmost tower, which was Blagothcus's personal quarters, in his room, you see that the top hallway, it's a spherical room, or a circular room, has huge windows that give you access and ability to look out in all directions. Very few pieces of blind spots created from the position. And dangling from the ceiling is a holder that the orb would fit into correctly. Now, you can start the orb, gain control, issue it commands, and place it in, and the whole machine will keep it following those instructions until you give it another instruction. However, you've got to keep well, no, you don't have to keep concentration of it because the machine itself does so. So in terms of actually manipulating it and working with it, you can leave it in the machine and control it yourself, or you could walk around like Blagothcus did.
I get it. So the sphere itself is like the navigation control, and the magic is the engine. Yep.
Do you have to be an arcane practitioner to issue commands to the orb?
You have to be the one to ignite it.
So if Loic not died, but went to a different plane of existence, and so we needed to pull it out and issue different commands, could Artir do it, or Gamel, or Aaron?
If Loic were to die, the next time the sphere was removed from its holder, it would go inert. So then someone else would have to reignite it and issue commands. Which does mean that should Loic die, you can easily just go up, grab it, pour in a spell slot of your own, and take it.
Can we override it
Yes.
as well, like that? Like Loki hasn't died, but I want to make course corrections. I can just go in there and.
Can I combat that if I wanted to, just hypothetically, by pouring a higher level spell slot into the ignition?
No.
Okay.
No, not according to the mechanics that I wrote. No. Okay. There is a minimum requirement, though. In order to start it, you will need at least a 3rd level spell slot.
And I guess what Gamel is trying to figure out, I don't have any like arcane spell slots. I have side points that I can expend. Is that similar, or is Gamel just not going to drive this thing?
Yeah, Gamel's not going to be the driver, unfortunately.
That's fine by him.
I think Danric could still do it, though.
Yes.
Artir also has
Artir can
arcane
too.
powers,
Yeah.
Does it have to be arcane?
It has to be a spell slot.
It has to be a spell slot extended mechanically.
So it could be divine.
So it can be both divine or arcane. It's fine.
Okay.
It can also be natural. Druids can do it. It's all fine.
It's technically still divine.
Right. Any other questions?
Gamel is going to, like, top to bottom, go through this whole thing to make sure there's nobody hiding, like no stowaways. But not like, oh, I'm going to go off on my own. Like, no, as a group, we're going through this castle to clear it out. We're also in the next hour of the game decorating. It's going to be great. We're going to have a room. We're going to have a fort. It's going to be awesome.
Look, does your understanding of the orb gained us any insights into the layout of the castle, or how quickly we can move with it, or anything like this? Does it give you like a holographic map of some sort or something like this?
It may give me the speed at which we move.
Yes, it'll give you that. In terms of miles per day at current top speed, if you really tried to really focus on as fast as you can, this thing can cover. You naturally can do 24 miles a day just on foot. This thing, in optimal conditions, could make it 75.
How fast does the boat go?
The boat, I believe it goes 150 a day, I believe.
And when you say day, are you talking about a 24-hour time frame or a 12-hour time frame?
24-hour time frame.
Okay, so that's 3 miles an hour?
Considering we're in a flying castle, that seems pretty
Yes.
appropriate.
Artir, I don't think we can use this to get to Tethir.
Sure we can. It'll just be a couple weeks to get there.
Let's take a while. Just okay. Well, while we're
it's no teleportation. It's no like whipping over to Waterdeep, as Loic I know you want to do.
Sorry, was that? I just skipped out. Has that question been asked? Is there a teleportation circle on this thing?
No.
Can I list the teleportation? Because he's wondering if Imrith came in and out of here, how she did it.
What you can, after careful examination of the entire thing, you get a solid understanding of this ship and its defenses and availabilities. So, top floor, you have Blagothkus's tower, which is now, I would say, Loic's tower in the back. Central rock area, you've got 3 more towers that go up in the top. Those 3 towers are also spiral staircases that work their way down towards the lower level. And then at the front, on the top level, you've just got an open courtyard. Below, the courtyard extends out even further. So you can assume that if and when Imrith came in, she probably just flew in. It's nice and big and open and plenty of space. But on that lower level, there are quarters for little folk and big folk. There's 2 defensive towers where you've got ballistae positioned up there. The cave system inside the heart of the rock, after a quick examination, seems to be that it was originally designed to be the lair of a dragon. As just the way that it was big, you can see the remnants of coin that had been hoarded there. Not really anything left there. The hoard has been moved, but
So it's probably
wide.
defensible. It's probably like
Yeah,
a big cavern with one door.
Well, there's lots of tunnels that break off of this large chamber, but they're all made large enough that a dragon could easily fly through and move in and out of this heart of the castle.
And question of supplies. We must have like an armory.
Basic arms and armor.
Treasure.
No treasure, but you do have lots of food.
Library?
No library. However, there are plenty of rooms that could be converted into a library.
Yeah, we'll
And
make one.
I believe I've, and I will send it around to you guys again. You have room to shift and change this according to the strongholds documents that I've sent you previously about what you can do, and I'll send it again so that you can see the options of whether or not you create merchant rooms, or you can create a library, you can create a blacksmith area. It's basically a moving city that you just hire people or attract people to come and work and live in.
So going through the entire thing, it's clear. There's
You clear it out. There's remnants, cultists here and there, cultists all with 7 hit points. So it's not really a concern. You do clear out the remnants of what was once people that were in there. You can see their robes, you can see their supplies, the items that they had. Eventually, you are convinced it's all clear. You've found, well, roll a perception check for me. Okay, Camel, perfect. Using whatever senses you have, you really focus in to try and get an idea of everything. And you learn that this place doesn't even have any secret tunnels, secret entrances, that sort of thing. It's all very simple and basic right now. Obviously, the structure is sturdy enough that you could manipulate and change the way everything's built if you spend enough time.
Well, having spelunked to the depths, I'm gonna recommend we all go up to Loic's tower, or maybe just the control room, we'll say, and then just go up there and chat.
Are we gonna? What's the ship doing at the moment? Are we? Can we berth the ship in this?
The ship can easily fit in this thing.
I recommend that they just continue flying a patrol around us so that we get advanced warning if something comes our way before we get too comfortable here.
Just being a picket ship.
Are you still low flying, or are you going to bring yourselves back up to the cloud tops?
So about 1,000 feet. We said first cloud layer. So,
What time is it during the day?
By now, mid-afternoon. Sun will set in about 3 hours.
I think we should land. I think we're in a pretty good spot. I don't think that there's anyone. We're kind of in no man's land.
Can't this thing just float forever?
Oh, that's right. I can put it in the thing. That's right.
Yep.
Okay, so we'll go back up if that's the case.
Okay. And you'll get used to the full mechanism and how it works and how you can leave it running and trust it. Or at least hope to trust it, if no one interferes with it.
What do we want to do with this thing?
Well, glad you asked. All right, so looking at the maps, if we assume that we are somewhere near a score on the western edge of the
Can you pull
Honorok
us to a
Desert.
map, Aaron?
Yes, I can move you to the map of the north. So you can see. You guys are up here
Gamel lays out a big
Asphalt.
map on the table as Artir's talking.
So Artir wouldn't necessarily know this, but Carl can say that from a score to Daramar in Tathir is a little over 1,400 miles, and at 75 miles a day, that's about 18 or 19 days of travel if we go from a score to Daramar and Tathir, if that is our course. And in doing so, we would pass over a few towns, including Loudwater, which I have heard Aaron and Osrin mention a few times. And that is about 350 miles or 5 days away. So we could travel straight, set a course from where we are to Daramar in Tathir. And if we wanted to, we could hop off the ship and, catch it back at around Loudwater.
Mm-hmm.
For
with the fact that your smaller ship moves at a much faster rate because it is just smaller, and the nature of the magic moving it is a little bit more powerful, you can easily jump off, go to your destination, and wait for the ship to pass, the castle to pass by, and then go back up. Yeah.
So, my friends, I would like to go to Tathir, unless we have other things that we wish to take care of. I believe that our other the pressing matters that had some urgency are behind us now, and I would like to return to my homeland. And Loic, I would like to reach out to my bard one more time to tell him when to expect us. So if we could agree on if that is the best course of action, I could give him a more permanent or a more assured time for our arrival.
Well, what are we going to do with this? I mean, do you want us to go? Do you want to arrive in your homeland flying a giant castle? Are we trying to sneak in quietly? Part of coming here was to avenge the death of an innocent giant, but also I thought part of it was so that we could show up in your homeland with you as the commander of a colossal flying castle to cement your reputation as a man of great renown.
It would be an impressive entrance, and I would like to make the entrance via the castle, provided there are no other things that pull us in other directions. Carl is thinking of the Aladdin entrance scene.
The Prince Ali kind of thing.
Yeah. Okay.
Aaron, Osrin?
Sorry, we're. So what's the plan? We're taking this there.
If I can, is this made out of? Is the structure made out of ice?
No, it's made out of stone.
Okay.
There's some magics to it that I don't understand, but I've been over it top to bottom for the last couple of hours. Whelm has helped me out a little bit. It's large. There aren't hidden passages or anything. Kind of what you see is what you get. But this is the size of the city. I thought this was going to be much smaller. This is way bigger than I thought it would be. So I guess part of the question is, what are we going to do with this thing? I mean, we can head for your home and we'll get there in, if I'm looking at this map right, in about 19, 20 days. But what are we going to do with this? This is not like a ship that you just sail to where you want to go to get you there. I mean, there's room for a whole population in this castle if we wanted to do that. At the very least, I think we need more crew to handle even just the ballistas up in this castle.
This is a prize.
Absolutely.
We need to defend this. I suggested maybe we should get this. This can hold giants. Hackathon maybe interested in putting some people here. If we offer this out to him as some sort of mobile embassy that we control, he can make trading deals and still have a secure location for his people. He may go for that. We may not
make the point.
pay for it.
You make the point. This is not a vessel. This is not like a warship. This is a town. I mean, we could have emissaries here. We could have merchants here. The guild member in me is thinking we can get a population here who would make a profit that we could tax and just have steady income from people living here. If we can figure out a way to do that.
Well, if
I have a connection for that. I can get merchants in here.
if things go well in Tethir and I am restored to a status of having land and these sorts of things, then we could set up on the coast, perhaps wherever my lands and holdings end up being. This would be convenient for Hackathon, as he could have the city of Zazespor is on the coast, and Hackathon's dealings would most likely be with towns and peoples of the coast. So we could put up some giant kinds in here if they wish to dwell or visit. We could receive them. I guess knowing our long-term plans for the castle will depend on what happens in Tethir, because that it may turn out that everything has turned to shit and I am exiled in some way, in which case we would want some other location for a more permanent base of operations.
Although I suppose we probably don't want to be trying to get an embassy and a population and other some such people here before we go to Tethir. Because we're going to show up in Tethir and be kind of a big target, right?
We need fighters.
Well, yeah.
We can't defend this by ourselves and the crew of the ship. We need people manning this thing and defending it while we're not on it. Otherwise it's going to be taken. So...
It won't get taken if you take the keys.
If you take the keys, it's going to fall out of the sky onto somebody's... Well,
No, you land it
Well, you'd
first.
have to land it.
You turn off the engine, and then you take it,
Well,
and then keep
well,
it.
This brings an interesting point, though.
This is better. We could park this over the top of Zazimpur. Just saying. If you, this is effectively a dead man switch.
Sure.
If they kill you, Loic, there's going to be a great big rock dropping on their city.
I don't think even Loic would be comfortable with that.
It's an amusing thought, but
Well, I'm just saying, it's a big bargain.
Does it work like that though? If Loic dies, but the thingamajig is in place, wouldn't it just continue to work until someone pulled it out and tried to give it a different command?
Yeah, but
If it's
if
in
he
place,
took it with him, it'd be a dead man switch.
yes.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point. Interesting, Aaron. Your mind is more devious than I imagined.
So the theory that Artir suggests anyway is still sound, and you guys have more than enough capability with teleportation abilities, your griffins, your ship and whatnot, to, while the castle is moving on its 18-day journey towards Tethir, to be able to do all of those things that you guys have thought about doing, getting people, begin staffing, getting troops to defend the place if you feel the need to do that. All of those things are possible while still moving the ship towards Tethir. So I guess what I need to know is, do you guys have any reason why you wouldn't start moving the ship towards Tethir? Okay. All right. Then, with that goal in mind, Loic sets off the trigger, and the ship, the castle shifts and turns to face the southwest and begins floating slowly
Question.
off towards
Does
it.
it move
Yep.
faster in reverse?
Really fast and nervous.
I think that depends more on the state of Loic.
It's just going to be slowly rotating the whole way.
And because of the nature of magic, you could almost imagine it's 4-wheel drive. So that kind of driving mechanic. Anyways. So, Artir, while you were just away for a moment, the ship has begun its trek towards Tethir. You have an 18-day journey towards that area. But I've let everyone know that in that time, with all the various different mechanics that you've got, you can easily do a bunch of things. So what are you guys going to be doing during your 18-day trek? Danrik is on a honey.
I'm going to find
Do a perception check. See
I'm going to find like a space for my room, for my stuff. And I'm going to spend 18 days building a ton of doors with big old locks leading up to the control room, because it was disquieting to me how easy it was to get in there. And I don't want somebody sneaking in when we're not looking and taking the castle. So,
Fair enough.
Locks, big giant doors, traps, whatever I can get worked out. And if we wind up pulling a couple artisans in, I'll enlist their help.
I'm going to ask Loic and Gamel, is it possible to take this device? Can we relocate it?
I have no idea.
Being at the top tower, in the topest tower with a load of vantage points in it, doesn't seem very defensible. You've got a lock on the outside, and people can just come in from the outside in.
I can't do it in 20 days. I might be able to do it in a couple years. I think that this place took that in order to absorb all of the magic that it did.
Okay.
It's possible to, over time, a long time, to move the mechanism within the castle, but to move it to something else
No, that's
would
not,
be...
yeah.
Okay.
That's not what I mean. To take it from this point in the tower and put it somewhere like more enclosed in the heart of the thing, because I always find defensively it would be harder for them to get to the heart of the location than it is to get to a little pinpoint.
Well, I think what we ought to do, Aaron, you and I can just craft some thin iron bars and just put those every foot distance, so your view's still not obstructed, but so that all the view around us has fortifications, so someone couldn't just fly right into the room.
Okay.
Oh.
I can't think of more than that at this moment.
Do you think we could possibly? I'm not saying in the next 19 days. I'm not saying that, but I said that over some period, maybe we should shift this thing if it's possible.
Loic, I would like to reach out to my bard friend as soon as possible to let him know to receive us. And, so if I could communicate to him via dream, that would be my preferred method, if you have that ability to do.
Of course, let's go somewhere quiet.
Okay. So
there are many quiet places. Just take your time, poke around.
Not in the control room where y'all are banging around.
So just because I had the thought, Gamel, the actual lower area where the dragon was is probably the most ventilated area.
Mm-hmm.
So would that be the kind of location where you would set up a forge, or would you do it inside the castle?
I mean, just so long as you can find a place where the heat is steady and constant. I mean, ventilation is nice. I presume it gets somewhat chilly with the altitude and such.
Mm-hmm.
So if the area can maintain a constant high heat, yeah, a ventilated area, that frankly, a workman area. So if we were infiltrated there, it wouldn't be too big of a loss if it got wiped out. That'd be a great place, provided the thermal dynamics are such that it won't negatively affect the smithing.
Cool. All right. So, because that's where I kind of imagined that your forge would be down in the heart.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, I'm imagining once we get workmen in, we'll have it'll be a little mirror bar, like a whole bunch of different forges. And
I'd want to put them out by because we've got where the griffins are. Is it like a landing bay? Is that what you're describing to me? So I imagine it would be if we had it there, because that way we could outfit stuff, and if we're if we want to put armor on the griffins, we could do it. We could this is where the armory is, and we can load people up and send them out.
Well, I think you'd have a bigger area for refining ore and making general stuff, and then you'd have a smaller setup in the Griffin area specifically for the equivalent of putting on horseshoes, right? I mean, it's not, you don't put horseshoes on Griffins, but the idea that you wouldn't have all the forge works right there. You'd have what you needed to get the work done.
Yeah.
To take
Right. Yeah. So we're saying the anvil and that, but you want to take it. You want to do a refinery somewhere deeper.
Yeah, I'm thinking
yeah.
This is long term. We're not doing that now.
I'm imagining Gamel saying hundreds of forges, thousands of forges as far as the eye can see.
I can see. Mirambar's got nothing on us. Even Gamel and his excitement, there's not enough space quite for that. But there will be bigger, more intricate ironworks type thing in the basement, and then more refined stuff as needed.
You need a printing press. If this is a city, it's got to have currency.
Well, we can melt down and make Twilight Errand coins.
Yeah,
we can have our own coins.
All right, so you guys get to work on that in that visual. All right, so Loic and Artir then retire to one of the private chambers. There are some large beds. There are some small beds. Artir probably feels more comfortable in one of the giant beds. It's a comfortable place, a nicely decorated, very simple rooms, because these giants weren't really here for leisure at all. You bed down, and what are you doing for the dream spell? What are you setting up?
I will again pull my bard friend into the bar in Waterdeep where we met, which is the Yawning Portal.
Yep.
And
it's good to see you again.
Geraldan, how goes things in Tathir?
It goes well. It goes well.
I wish to tell you of our latest exploits. Our Twilight's Errand has recently deposed an evil lord, a cloud giant, who had done the most vile thing and killed his own son.
He begins miming as if he's taking notes. Go, please tell me all about it.
And I go into detail on how that went. There is also a damsel in distress, and our brave hunter and bard executed a daring rescue and retrieved her from the clutches of her giant captives.
These will make good stories.
This giant, he had a castle that is made of mighty rocks and stones, but flies in the sky. We are now in command of this castle, and we are sailing to Tathir at this very moment. We should arrive in 18 or 19 days.
I best get to work to prepare your arrival. What should I have ready for you when you arrive?
Well, if you could make my order aware of my arrival, I would appreciate their presence around me when I do find my way into the court of the Queen, because I wish to make an introduction. So they may be instrumental in setting up these arrangements as well, you will find.
Okay. And remind me, who...
Is it just me, or is Aaron gone?
Yeah, it seems like he's, yeah.
Aaron's gone.
We need him.
Come back, Aaron.
Oh.
We'll just keep playing without him. Here, I'll
Well,
take over.
this is
You
a-
can have anything you want.
He was gonna
Great
say.
Reigns
Gold Dragon.
streamers of the new features on our Twitch stream.
Well, he was going to say, "Who is your daddy and what does he do?" I think is what he was going to say. Yes. While we're waiting for Aaron to come back, who is apparently still on the internet because he's chatting to us in Twitch. Oh, there he is.
Hey, sorry about that. What did I miss?
You gave us a gold dragon.
I didn't say no, so.
Okay. Jaredon was asking, who does he speak to again in order to set up and make sure that the Order is aware?
Well, the Order of the Silver Chalice is the order from Artir's backstory. I never created any specific NPCs because I wasn't sure if they would still be there by the time I got there. So
Okay.
I could say NPC name, and then you could say that yes, that person is still there.
Okay. Fair enough. He will look for the person currently a contact that he could work with that is from the Order of the Silver Chalice. He will see if there's a contact that may be recognizable, that's something you may have witnessed before. Okay?
Yes, the letter of introduction I gave him was an introduction to the Order of the Silver Chalice, so they should recognize him as an agent of mine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So yes, we will be arriving forthwith, and I wonder if you are able to ascertain any other information regarding the villain known as the Viper, who is if I am able to handle or bring in for questioning, could also help raise my esteem in the eyes of the Queen.
The Viper is an interesting one. Difficult to narrow down all of the many stories that have been shared about him. People think he's not actually a man, just a legend. Darama. Some people have convinced he's a monster. I don't know the truth, but what I do know is it seems that a lot of his attacks seem to centralize or originate from the area known as the Forest of Mir. It is southeast of Daramar, and it's though people have looked for him, no one's been able to find him yet. But that's where people believe he is from.
This is useful information. I appreciate you acquiring this, and I hope you will be able to acquire some more information in the time between now and then. I also wondered if you had any more suggestions regarding a gift for the Queen. You had at one time mentioned that she would be favorable to jewelry, but I have yet to find anything that would be sufficiently queenly.
That is something that I must admit I kind of got lost in and got a little wrapped up in. Have you ever heard the stories of the Waterdeep curse from your childhood?
I am vaguely familiar with this. Perhaps you could, not for my benefit, but, for narrative purposes, remind me of what this story is.
Okay. So, a long time ago, there was relative peace between, and good trade and work between Tethir and the Sword Coast, particularly because the capital city, Zazaspur. Is Zazaspur the capital city? No, Daramar is. That's why we're going to Daramar, isn't it?
Zazespur was the capital a very long time ago.
It was back then, yes.
Yes.
That's right, yes. It was back then, but it's not anymore. So back then, Zazespur and Waterdeep had a very good, closely working relationship. They traded well, business and royalty would communicate back and forth, and it was all good. There was a lot of marriages, a lot of friendly things that happened. Until a stretch of about 20-something years where every royal that left Zazespur and spent any amount of time in Waterdeep would be brutally murdered. The stories are like crazy on this regard. You have the queen at the time with her newborn, or soon-to-be newborn, she was expecting, and then her, I think, brothers, cousins, sons. The stories are a bit off on that. It kind of flips between. They were all visiting and making deals. The sons were arranging marriages with other nobles in Waterdeep, all of them slain. And funnily enough, this is my favorite part. The sons, the boys, they were killed by their pillows, which were actually mimics. Just.
This is a terrible story. I mean, it's an entertaining story, but if it's true, what a terrible way to die.
So a lot of royalty found themselves on the bad side of someone back then, and one in particular, Princess Sherglinda. She was loved by most of the people in Zazespur. She was in line for the throne, ready to rise up and lead her people, and people liked her. Unfortunately, she was brutally attacked and murdered within Waterdeep, and her tiara, rings, and necklace were stolen. Now, I looked up, because we discussed that the Queen likes jewelry. The Queen has managed to recover the rings and the necklace, but the tiara is something very prized by the royal family. Something that Queen Aeneas would, I don't want to say kill for, but would really appreciate acquiring. If you can find that tiara, you might be able to get it. I tried to do some digging, and I believe it has something to do with Waterdeep. That was the last sight of Sherglinda's tiara, and I will type that out for you.
This sounds very promising. I thank you, Jordan. You have gone above and beyond, and I'm sure it is as treasured as you say. That Queen Aeneas would value it very highly, and you would definitely be in my good graces.
That's what you pay me for.
That's exactly right. Very well. Well, then I will let you to it, and I will see what I can find regarding Sherglinda's tiara.
Okay, and I will try to track down more information about the Viper. If this is kind of a dangerous topic, so do check in on me sooner rather than later. I wouldn't want to get into a bad spot and leave you high and dry, as it were.
Jordan, your safety is the most important thing in these endeavors. Do not put yourself at risk. If you feel that inquiries will lead to the unwanted attention, I would advise that you secret yourself away, perhaps with the Order of the Silver Chalice, and make yourself protected. I would not want any harm to come to you.
Okay. Will do. Well, thank you. I must sleep now, or am I?
You are asleep. Enjoy the rest of your rest. I bid you good day.
Good night.
That too.
So you rest for the rest of your night. He rests, and you wake up in the morning having some better idea of the situation. What would you like to do with that information?
I would like to talk with my party. I suppose I will, because they are more familiar with Waterdeep. They have various reasons to be familiar with Waterdeep, and I would like to ask them about these things.
Come, Artir, breakfast. I have salted pork.
It's particularly good.
Is there like a galley, like a kitchen area, or?
So
We found lots of food, apparently. There must be a kitchen.
Because I'm still trying to wrap my head around like the size of this thing. I presume there's like a living quarters area for the people in charge of the city.
We definitely need a staff. You guys are right. We need.
Yeah.
At some point, we need. What good is having a castle if you have to clean it yourself? You know what I'm saying?
I've been thinking about it, and the Emerald Enclave do us a favour. Maybe they'd be happy to staff this thing.
So just so that you can see, that is the lower half, the lower level of the city. Hopefully you guys can all see that map.
Yeah.
You may have to zoom out, but
Oh, so
Oh, we have it.
So I still have like most of Imrith's hoard sitting in my portable hole. Do you guys want any of your money, or do we just keep it there?
Aaron had taken out all of his money at some point, and he had taken out the 20,000 of that is in the Hunters Guild in Waterdeep.
You took out 20,000 of that?
I took out my share, which was 25, I think, or 23.
In my hole, you had 25,440 gold pieces and 200 platinum pieces.
So, Aaron, I haven't taken out the platinum. I took out the gold.
All right, so there is 25,440 gold in Waterdeep for you that I'm marking off the inventory.
Yeah,
So
I'm
200 platinum.
carrying 5,000 on my person in my bag of holding, and the other 20,000 is in the Hunters Guild secured.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, Gemmel. How much did you say you have for each of us?
Each of you, and it's on the party inventory.
Oh,
You
it
each
is,
have
okay.
25,440 gold pieces, and you have 200 platinum pieces. Artir took out a little less. It's all in the party inventory. You can see it.
For your
Yes.
benefit, I'm going to move mine over to my fort, and I'll
Sure.
put it in the second
Sure,
story.
just take it out of my hole
Yep.
on the inventory.
Yes, I have been taking out my monies as I need them. If you do not mind keeping these monies, then I will leave them where they are.
Not at all. Just want you to know where your wealth is.
I just imagine that a lot of that gold now is covered in Theon guts.
No.
Yeah. Should I fall in battle? Be sure you get the claspful hole off me before you go.
Always been on my mind.
Okie dokie. Well, I have talked with my bard, Gerudan, who is in Deramar, spreading tales of our deeds. And he tells me that there is a villain in the forest of Mir, which is south of Deramar. And I may wish to visit there before landing in Deramar, so as to maybe we take our ship from the castle and fly ahead, so as to apprehend this villain and bring him before the queen to further raise our esteem in the eyes of the court. But in addition to this, he has informed me of a priceless tiara that was last seen in Waterdeep. Apparently, it is a legend of times past, where there was a period of turmoil between Tethir and Waterdeep. And there is even a name for it. It is the Curse of Waterdeep, or at least this is what it is known in Tethir. It may be known as something else in Waterdeep. Do any of you know of these things? Because the particular item is Sherglinda's tiara. Sherglinda was a princess in Tethir, and if we can find this item, it would make a most excellent gift for the queen.
Would a guy who lived in Waterdeep and was also a member of the Jewelers Guild have heard any rumors about this, Aaron?
It is possible. I'm assuming that 33 is Loic's attempt.
Yep.
Okay. So you've heard the stories. What Loic is able to at least piece together and help out with, unfortunately, Gamel, it's news to you. But Loic, at about the same time as all of this happening, specifically, it was the murder of Princess Sherglinda that caused Zazaspur to kick the Harpers out of Tethir, effectively. And since that day, the Harpers have struggled to be able to get agents and people back in. It took them some time, about 100 years or so, before they finally even got one person able to get back in. Since then, they tried a lot to be able to help and fix some of these problems. It is within reasonable doubt that you could assume that the Harpers may have some information about these items that went missing back when they were trying to fix the problems between them and Tethir.
So did the Harpers get kicked out because they were responsible for Princess Sherglinda's safety? Or what did they do?
It seemed like it was that way. That they were one of the main reasons why they actually encouraged Princess Sherglinda and her family to visit Waterdeep on this particular occasion. And all of the signs and omens and people said maybe we shouldn't. After the first time that royalty were killed, they thought maybe it's best you stay at home, stay safe. Well, no. The Harpers convinced them to go, and they all got brutally murdered.
So they ended up looking like instigators.
Yes.
Okay. So yeah, this is actually a story about the Harpers. The way that I heard it.
Are you in good standing with this organization?
No, I wouldn't say so, but I'm not in bad standing either. Laryl is supposed to have been a large part of the Harper organization. That was a rumor. I never really got confirmation on that, but talking to her might be a good start.
On my last visit, I asked my father to make inquiries for you for certain items. He may have come across something. If we've got something specific, he might be able to find out something for us on the Noble Network.
All right. Well, perhaps we should take a group trip to Waterdeep, and we'll see if our Captain Haberk would be willing to fly the castle, which is to say, not touch the keys. Just
maybe we should just leave Danric to check on that, because if something bad happens, we need someone who can cast some arcane on this.
Leave Danric here?
Yeah, if he doesn't mind.
Well, we can leave the ship and crew. We can just teleport to Waterdeep. And Danric. He's fine with that.
Yeah, Danric would have no problem staying and keeping the ship flying.
I will say
going with you.
I'll say to Danric, I know that having this whole castle to yourself and your lady love is exciting, but just so you know, I have gotten quite used to my cloud giant bed, and I would like this to be off limits.
It's okay. The cloud giant bed's are too big. So
They're very
can't even get
comfortable,
up
though.
on 'em.
They're they're cloud giants. They're like cloud stuffs.
Not for us.
it's like a waterbed mattress, but it's made of cloud, right?
Okay. Well, would you
Maybe
guys like to?
leave some funds for Danrick, and Danrick can maybe, as if they pass over some towns, resupply or get some people in or whatever. Just leave him to manage it.
He's got his
he
own
does.
stuff, and he'll be able to take care of all that.
Well, on the idea of crewings, while we're in Waterdeep, what are you guys' thoughts? We could enable the Emerald Enclave, or there is a faction that we've come across before that I haven't really told you this, but I kind of started. Do you remember Casper? Was it Jasper or Casper? I can't remember.
It was Jasper.
It was Jasper. You remember Jasper? He said he was part of an organization. Yeah, that's the head of the Green Dragon.
Flashback sequence to a very early moment in the campaign when Ilya saw a merchant that was a very rich merchant and really wanted to get at some of his stuff. So he tries to steal the items, failed some stealth checks, got chased out of the room, decided to then go back and place a green dragon head in the guy's bed, convince him that he was being inducted into an order of merchants and thieves and whatnot, and accidentally started an actual organization just to cover up his own thievery. That has grown. Aaron helped it to grow, and it is now a viable organization that actually controls quite a lot of international merchantry within the Sword Coast.
Are you the head of a shadow cabal that you haven't told us about?
Well, really, is Ilya's thing? I might be a side partner, silent partner, something like that. You know, we could.
So you can definitely call upon them for help and manning. However, they're mostly merchants. They're mostly jesters, individuals of court kind of situations. No military influence at all.
But
I also have multiple shady organizations with which we could deal.
Mm-hmm.
We're not playing top shops, like I'm just giving people suggestions.
No, I know. It's just I think that you sent the Tabaxi off with him, right?
Mm-hmm.
Recently, and then before that, the Emerald Enclave got the Green Dragon Mask. So I'm just thinking maybe spreading out our resources to some other organizations that have helped us along the way.
So here's what I'm thinking.
Neglected.
We pool up our money and we hire a majordomo, or someone whose sole job is to govern and manage what's going on. And then anybody who wants to come up and have a rep on our little cloud can do it for a fee. And then we just let the majordomo figure it out. And then we just have a steady income stream, find somebody we trust, find somebody we put spells on, so if he betrays us, he dies a painful death. And we all live happily ever after.
I like that idea.
Gold in our pockets.
I like that idea a lot.
We could turn this place into like a neutral zone, like a people come to parlay together and make deals, and there's a little side bit on that for us.
Sure. But if you're gonna do it, you got to pay for it. You got to provide security. You got to make it a no nonsense place. You start getting into shenanigans, and Twilight's Errand will kick you off. Maybe at ground level, maybe at 1,000 feet. Who knows at what altitude will kick you off? So you know.
I am very excited for all the possibilities that may present themselves, and I do believe that this castle should be governed jointly by our group. I would, if you would be so kind as to indulge me, when we are in Tathir, to shift the esteem away from the group and towards my own person, so as to elevate myself in the eyes of my countrymen. I would appreciate these things, and if when we get back to the castle, or after we leave and come back to the castle, I would like to spend some of my free time dressing the place up, is to, if in case we do receive visitors from Tethir, that they are sufficiently impressed by the court that we have to offer.
So, again, we haven't made any definitive decisions. We want a staff here, do we not?
I think we're best off finding someone to put in charge of this, because we all have skills. I don't think managing and balancing a checkbook is what we want to be spending our time on. But if we hire the right person to take care of that, he can take care of the other matters for us.
Okay, so, right. My question is, we have options with Hecaton, we have options with some factions, we have options to independently hire. Which one do we want to go with? We could take multiple of those options.
I have a suggestion for one individual, but it may not be a good one. What about Pao Ming? Sorry, Pao Ming. She's currently freelance. She's a neutral agent, as far as I understand, yet unaffiliated with anybody. And she has security experience, as well as ship experience.
Yeah, I was just thinking about her.
Who is this person? I do not believe I've ever met her.
Oh, yeah. Imrith did. While you were stuck on a pillar somewhere, we went on a casino cruise. She was the security official for it, and she ran a tight ship, literally.
Not that we went on a cruise without you while you suffered. We were pursuing a lead.
Yes, go on. Tell me how much you
We had a
enjoyed
pretty
my
good
time
though.
where I was suffering as a prisoner in the desert.
And she also has psi abilities like Lyric and Gamma, and that proved very useful for security.
Yeah.
I'm not against this idea.
Okay, I'll contact her and see if she's interested in where in the world she is.
Okay.
So, shall we all, after our delicious breakfast of salted porks, should we all jump over to Waterdeep? Are you with me?
How are we going to get back from Waterdeep?
That's a good question.
That's the question, Marshall.
There's no teleportation circle here. Lola, how long would it take you to make one?
A year.
All right, so
By the way, that's not just me, that's anybody.
sure. No,
if we look at our course, I believe we do pass over some cities or some towns. I do not know if they are big enough to support having their own teleportation circles. But perhaps, since Danric will be here, if we can coordinate with him to pass over certain landmarks, perhaps we can find somewhere suitable in between.
we send the airship to Waterdeep. We hop on it and then meet Danric over a city that would approximately be right where we need it to be. So it would probably take the ship 3 or 4 days to get to Waterdeep.
Are you referring to the ship or to the castle?
The ship. The castle is different. The vessel. Brassic's Folly. It would take that about 3 or 4 days to get to Waterdeep, right?
Yeah, about that time.
So we go to Waterdeep. It meets there in 3 or 4 days. We hop in the ship and then fly and meet back up with the castle.
I do not know how the square of the hypotenuse would work out, but if I trust you to navigate these things.
Oh no, our captain will navigate it. We'll just set a course for the castle, and then our captain can figure out the details. Stout ale. Harback can do the.
Harback.
100% comfortable leaving the entire castle completely unmanned. Maybe say Danric, 2 gnomes, floating across the sky for anybody to waltz in.
They've also got the griffins and
We
bear rails.
allowed Imerith's followers to leave out here on griffins. Who's to say they are not re-coordinating for a counterstrike?
Well, the alternative then is we fly to Waterdeep and just make that detour and just do it that way.
So, you're getting in the ship and going to Waterdeep.
No, the castle's flying to Waterdeep.
How long would it take the castle to get to Waterdeep?
Long time.
From where you were, 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm thinking about 9 days. Maybe 10.
How about it's a 10-day for the ship, for the castle to get here? However, we leave the ship, we leave Danric, go do our business, we make preparations, we get staff, we sort out your tiara, we get preparations for staff, and then when the ship gets here, we can shift everything on board. When the castle gets here, we can shift everything on board, get it all prepped up, decorate it the way you want, Artir, and then we make our move down to Sassenburg.
I do not see a fault in this. There is no, I do not know of a pressing need to be on a tight schedule in Tethir. They have waited this long for my return. Surely they can wait a few more days. However, I guess I would be concerned about the city of Waterdeep and their response to an incoming flying castle. If they would
Leave the castle
Don't.
very, very high so that no one sees it.
I'll just let Laryl know ahead of time the sending spell.
I have no
That's fine.
concerns.
I do think we should keep it. Don't let the common folks see it. Keep it high up. All they'll see is Brassick's Folly coming in, whole bunch of people getting on board, and it taking off, and that's it. We'll announce the grander intentions later.
Okay. All right. So you guys spend the better part of 10 days or so. The ship will get over there. And you've had time to really start fitting about the castle, getting used to it, making your own personal spaces, picking your rooms, getting everything set up the way you would.
I thought we would. The intention was
We're going to teleport.
We're going to teleport.
Oh, you're teleporting now, and the ship is going to come in.
We're leaving the ship. We're leaving the ship inside the castle.
Yep.
The crew are going to maintain it with Danric on board with caring to Bridget.
Fair enough. So you guys head to Waterdeep. Whereabouts in Waterdeep are you going? Because you'll teleport into the teleportation circle, but that's just a central hub within the city. You guys are welcome to go anywhere you want.
We've got Gamel's old house, or we can hang out with Aaron's dad, or we can go to the Hunter's.
No, Gamble's old house is our HQ in Waterdeep. Why not?
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
magically protect.
We want to go get the kid.
I want to go see my baby.
Okay. So you head straight first off to Gamel's home, which is just as it was previously. You guys are fine with it. And we're actually going to take a 15-minute break there, guys. Join us back in 15 minutes, where we will get into the thick of activity within Waterdeep and head over towards Tethir, to this mysterious land that all but one of our party have never experienced. Back in 15. Welcome back, everyone. Thanks for sticking with us during the quick bathroom and water break. So we rejoin the party. They have just arrived to Waterdeep, checked into their hotel at Shea Gamel, and are heading on their various tasks within the city of Waterdeep proper. So Loic plans to find or track down and contact Pao Ming, which, if we remember, Pao Ming's last communication with you was the last time you spoke was when you were talking about the fact that she wants to become a member of the Arcane Brotherhood. She realized that her abilities were possibly quite lacking, and her understanding of the world was lacking to be able to do or be worthy of the Brotherhood. So she set out on her own to be able to learn, grow, to one day be worthy of the Brotherhood. It's not been too long, so you can assume that she's still on that track. What would you like to do, Loic?
Send her a sending spell, see if it works. Say, this is Zeke. I have a management proposition for you. It could be incredibly lucrative.
You're at 10.
Waterdeep if interested. Meet me in Waterdeep if interested.
Okay. Intriguing. See you by the docks.
Okay.
And she will use what magic she has at her disposal to travel to Waterdeep as quick as possible. She will get there that day. She's not too far. She was just outside of the city, to be honest, but in the ocean. So by the time you get to the docks, you see her on a small boat, just a small, maybe 6-7 man small ship. As it pulls in, she's leading the little group, invites you to come onto her ship, and she has her people head out if you don't, or she suggests we go and talk outside the docks.
I specifically want to have asked Artir if he'd be willing to come with me. And does anyone else want to come?
I am, of course, interested in meeting this Pao Ming.
Okay, she thinks you're Imrith. Just heads up on that.
I'll also go because she is a mystic, and Loic isn't giving Gamble any like new training ideas these days, so he's gonna see what she's got.
I think Aaron and Osrin obviously will be missing two at this point. Being so close, they will let them deal with that and go off to the farms. And probably investigate about what he's found out at some stage. So.
Okay, sounds good. So instead, seeing Artir stood on the docks with you, she hesitates. And you see that the reluctance in her to even dock the ship. There is obvious fear in Pao Ming's face.
How far away is she?
She's coming into the docks themselves, so by the point that she would be able to see Artir and recognize that it is him, maybe 100 foot away.
I want to revel in her fear for a little bit and just stand there and smile. And then after a minute, I'll let her know telepathically, it's not the dragon. This is the real companion.
Well, that's 60 feet. 60 feet's your limit, right?
No, 120 feet for second level mystic telepathy.
All right.
Let me see if I have a Pao Ming image for folks. Nope, I guess not. For everyone's reference, I do have an image of Pao Ming somewhere. All right, never mind. She will roll a persuasion check, actually, to convince her that it is okay. Okay.
Not bad.
So that's, for those that don't know, that's what Pao Ming looks like. Typical Asian woman. However, her particular garb that she was dressed in previously whilst on the ship has been replaced by armor and a tricorn hat. She's in with the pirate scene right now, at least for the time being. Though you can tell that she's a little uncomfortable in such garb. Eventually, with your assurances, she comes in and she will attempt to probe, as soon as she gets close enough, Artir's mind using the detect thoughts. So what are your surface thoughts, Artir?
That is an attractive hat.
Fair enough. And then she's going to try and push further in. I think regardless of whether you're willing, you still have to make a save. Right. Yeah, so Artir, go ahead and make a wisdom saving throw. Okay. All right, you can tell that she attempted to probe into your mind. She was unable to do so, naturally.
Say, look, Gamel, this pirate woman appears to be trying to get into my brain.
Yeah, because she thinks you're a dragon.
Why would she think that?
I told you
Didn't we
before
explain this last night?
we were with Imrith when we met her.
There's like a week where Imrith was pretending to be you. She sucked us all in, that despicable deceiver. She beguiled us all, except for her, apparently.
So why does she want to read my brain?
Just to make sure it's you and not Imrith.
Should I let her read my brain?
Yeah, if you're all right with that invasion of privacy.
Miss Pao Ming, pirate lady, I sense that you wanted to get into my brain. It is, where I come from, this is considered rude to do without asking permission, but my companions tell me that you have some concern about my identity. So if you wish to...
Ask her to take you to dinner first.
If you wish to enter my brain, I will now give you permission.
Okay. She will attempt to, once again, almost instinctively pry into your mind. She gains insight into your reasoning, your emotional state, and something that looms large in your mind.
I telepathically say to Loic, what she doesn't know is Loic's really the one who looks like Imrith now. Excuse me. What she doesn't know is that Imrith is really dressed like you, Loic.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
The thing looming large in my brain, or looming large in my mind, would be the tiara.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. Then a moment will go by and she will pull the ship in, feeling a little bit more comfortable that you are no longer the ancient dragon that she had seen into the mind of for a moment. She pulls in. She's got a small little crew, 5 men who immediately tie up the ship. They encourage you to get onto it and then talk outside the city proper. So back out as quick as they can. She sits you down, little chair off in the back seat of this small little ship. How can I help?
Are you interested in the management position? It would be over quite a lot of people, probably at least double what Zentarum gave you on the casino ship, at least. And we're also potentially talking keeping of strange beasts as well, which you will have people under you to take care of that and so forth. But you would be ultimately the gatekeeper.
Would I be required to use my services in a similar manner as before?
Not required, but I think that to you it would be within your own better interests. It will largely be because we've chosen you. We want to choose you because of your security expertise. So you are likely to be the person to know when to use it.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
We will be charging a fee for people to come to this place. You will get a cut of that fee. That is how we will work. So the more people come, the more people spend their money, the more you make.
Okay.
And of course, we are still in charge and in ownership of the vessel. However, we will be absent the majority of the time, as far as I know.
Okay. And what of my crew? She points out to the individuals. I trust these fellows implicitly. They have every ounce of my trust, and I would appreciate them to be on my side in a new location if you're going to be off on another ship or elsewhere.
Loic turns his head directly at the other crew, and then his eyes flare green as he uses his innate true sight.
Okay. All of them look exactly the same under true sight as they would normally. Yeah. So they are natural. You've got all of them are humans, various different races of human mixes, but all normal. All normal.
Okay. Guys, what do you think about that? They all appear to be as they are.
She'd be running the show, but there's no way she could do that alone. Of course, she's going to need staff.
I think that was the part of the plan, was to hire one person in charge and let them handle the staffing. So if she wishes to make these her first staffs, this is what we wish.
Okay, we're good with that.
Sounds good. So where is your vessel?
It's around Asgore right now, but it will be moving over the high forest in about 3 days, and then towards Waterdeep in a 10-day. It's a sky castle.
So it's not a vessel.
Oh, it's a vessel. It transports people from point A to point B, but it is also a city.
Okay. Okay. It's a new kind of challenge, something new to learn. I'm trying to become better and stronger and more experienced. And is it safe?
It's as safe as you can make it. It has its own automated, not automated. It has its own defensive systems that will need to be manned, and of course, people need to be trained to put on. But they have their own ballistas, ballista towers. There are methods of maneuvering the vessel. I'll show you how to do that. And it also looks distinctly like a cloud, especially from the bottom.
The vessel won't fall out of the sky. If that's what you're thinking, it's as safe as any ship. Ships occasionally sink. Ships occasionally are raided by pirates, but it's no more dangerous than being on any other vessel.
But I would encourage additional security measures.
Okay. Right. Very well. Then if I can take my crew, the pay is good. I will. Yes, it seems like a interesting course.
When we're gone, you're in control.
Appreciate it. You can trust me. I promise.
Whether or not we can trust you, I think you're going to do a good job.
Very well. Okay. Anything else I can do for you?
Where can I get a hat like that?
This is an excellent question. I want to know the answer to this as well.
I think we all want that hat.
You all want a tricorn hat. Well, it comes as a free add-on to any purchase of any ship in town. So buy a ship and they'll give you a pirate captain's hat.
Nice.
Because you must be a captain to have the hat.
Pay to win. You know, what can I say?
Technically, we've got 2 vessels now, so we have a fleet, and you'd be an admiral.
That's right.
Yeah, you need a new hat. I'll take this one. Oh, no, look, you can have this one.
But it'll have a really big feather. Just a huge feather.
No. What am I talking about? Minor illusion. Poof.
There we go. You have exactly what you want. Fair enough. Okay. Well, I have some things I need to tie up, loose ends, things to sell. And then I will... how am I going to get to your vessel?
Meet us back in, let's see, 8 days at dusk at X Tavern.
Okay, the X Tavern. It's a new tavern.
It's super hip and kind of hipstery.
That's where the kids go. We'll blend in.
Bring your crew and pack a bag, because they won't be coming back for a while.
Okay.
And a good cook.
Would you like me to begin searching for crew? I mean, in 8 days, how many people do you think it would take to man this thing?
How many people do you have on your crew? Just these guys, or is there more?
Well, I have these, but I have connections. I have people that I can talk to.
Do we want the castle fully operational?
I think we're looking at about 20 people.
How many ballistas were there?
3
There
or
are
more.
There were
3
two on the
ballistas.
lower level, one up above.
And it takes
But there's also courtyards, and if we want to have an operational bestiary, well, we got the Ostler. We got the Griffin Ostler.
so the ballistas have 1 person shooting, 1 person loading, ideally, right? So we need at least 6 people on the ballista crews.
Plus, presumably, people just to keep order. Plus, you'd probably want a few Griffin trained riders.
We need
So-
appraisals.
You wouldn't be able to do that because Griffins only imprint with 1 rider. That's it. 1 rider.
Plus, if you can get an extra rider or 2 with their own Griffin who want to come along,
we need
that'd be useful.
we need horses to feed the griffins.
Oh,
That's a good point.
Can you not? If Aaron was here, I would say you guys summon bears all the time. Can you not summon horses to feed the griffins?
Technically, they're magical and they wouldn't sustain. I don't think. I'm not sure on that one. If I do conjure animals,
Try it
Okay.
next time. We'll figure it out at that point.
well, it's been we had like a day, and I feel like those griffins needed feeding. So retroactively, maybe we've tried this already.
I'll get back to you on that. What she
So-
says is that she can get an additional 15 people, so that would give you a pool of 20 people starting. However, they wouldn't be what you would consider to be skilled hirelings. You can easily get 20 unskilled hirelings in that 8 days, and they can start work immediately, and everything would be operational at minimal requirements. To replace those individuals with actual skilled artisans and skilled people that are needed would take a bit more time to find them. But she can do it for you.
Let's do it. We have to start somewhere.
Okay. So
Once
Leave
people
up
hear
to
about
her.
it,
If she
there'll be more
wants
appeal.
to hire unskilled labor and train them up, or if she wants to take more time just to hire already skilled, you know what? That's your job is to make that choice. So
Okay.
you go
With
for
your
it.
abilities, you will be probably the best person to figure that out as well.
all right. So she bids you farewell and immediately gets into work, ties off the ship, places the hat on the wheel, and walks off as if with the back to the ship, never looking back again, ready for the next adventure. All right.
Take the hat, put it on Artir.
Artir now has a track on it.
How do I look?
Looks good.
Thank you.
It becomes you.
All right. So other things that you guys are going to be doing in Waterdeep over the 8 days until the ship arrives.
We've gone to the house. Obviously, seeing Duon. I'm thinking in my head: is it worth taking Duon and Duon Junior onto the castle now and trying to make that the home? Would you be comfortable with that?
Yeah, I think I would.
Maybe close by, and then if we've got if we're gonna have staff and there'll be food supplies and stuff like that, then we may have them on hand there now permanently. I would ask my Lord Amical, my father, if his connections on our previous thing, if he's made inquiries about artifacts of Tefir, and specifically Glider's tiara.
Shareglinders.
Shareglinders. No, I've got it. I just like Glide or Glind. Shareglinders tiara.
So he can start making inquiries about Shareglinder's tiara. He hasn't done anything like that. He has heard about other instances of Tetherian relics that were in the city. In particular, there is a flame-tongue sword that is within the city that very clearly has in the hilt the crest of Tethir. And it's quite popular and famous. The current head of Neverwinter Guard is the current owner of such a thing.
Sorry, the Neverwinter Guard? Sorry, it's a Neverwinter.
Sorry, not Neverwinter, Waterdeep. Sorry. Yeah, Waterdeep Guard is currently in possession of a flame-tongue sword, which it is assumed that it is hails from Tethir because there is an old Tetherian crest in the hilt.
So the guard captain or guard?
Guard captain.
Guard captain, right. Okay.
The one that you've met.
Ah, interesting. Okay.
Otherwise, he can start looking into Shareglinder's tiara. He's not heard anything about that yet, but he's got 8 days.
That's fine. Well, generally then I'll be asking how everything is. Asking Duon Senior how things have been in the house. How's his stay? How's his father treating him? Kind of thing.
Treating him well. Duon Senior has spent a lot of his spare time just going back and forth between Lord Amical's house and the Hunters Guild just to stay out of the house and hang out with actual hunters for a time. But will return to the house because of Duon Jr.
I'll ask him if he doesn't need to be. He is technically, in Aaron's eyes, grandfather figure. But if he feels like he I don't want him to be a permanent babysitter. If he feels like he wants to be going hunting again, he doesn't need to join us in the castle.
He misses the hunt, and seeing that there is someone willing to take care of the baby when he can't, he does so. He feels bad a little bit, but the call to hunt is what drew the two of you together in the first place. So he would appreciate the opportunity to be able to go out and hunt the adventurous life for a day or two every now and then. But he will take care of the baby. He will take up your offer of moving to the castle if you give it.
Yeah, that's what I was suggesting. But we're saying that there's no reason he can't head up maybe foraging parties. Maybe we can set up some sort of way of transporting people down to the ground level while the thing's traveling, and foraging for the actual city as it travels. So he could be like create maybe like a hunting set hunting guild for it, but to maintain supplies. Maybe he's interested in something like that.
Could do. Keep him busy.
Yeah, we could try and set up some way of getting them transported down. Maybe some more griffins. Maybe we can require about some more griffins. One for him. How large is the stables? How many possible griffins could we store there?
As of right now, your stables could probably fit 10 large creatures. They have 10 stalls in them.
Okay, so we've currently got 5. Is that correct?
Yes.
So we could possibly hire another 5 of these and have Duon as one of the riders, and then have other hire a group of defenders to be like a flight cover for the city. Possibly?
It'll definitely be a thing that you can do, not straight away. They obviously need to breed more griffins before they can just sell you some more. So, but if that's what you inquire for, they will definitely get work on that.
Yeah, I'm going to ask if Duon's interested in investigating that as a possibility. He could lead up the thingy. He can go hunting with that group, and that makes sense. Yeah, then I'd obviously ask Lord Amical, Father, how he's getting on generally. How's he enjoyed spending time with his grandson? How my little sister is doing.
The two of them get along like siblings.
Yeah,
which is good. He's not personally been too involved. The wife has. But,
I'm going to ask about the Master Lord situation. Has he retained his title, or is he now no longer involved in that?
He has been relieved honorably.
Okay.
So his position aboard the council has been removed, but his relationship with Lyra is still pretty strong.
Cool. So in that count, try to head off Loic a little bit. I will inform him of our new prize, and maybe send word that we will be having it coming into the city or above the city shortly, and not to worry if she wants to any precautions or anything that she's worried about to inform us, and we'll try and sort that out beforehand.
Sounds good. He's fairly excited on the prospect of seeing a flying city, so he'll get right to work to help to speak to Lyra, organize something to speak with her, and make sure that she understands the situation. The city guard will be appraised of the situation to make sure that no one attacks the flying city, especially the Griffin Riders, who would be the airborne defense unit for the place. Thankfully, by being warned, the Griffins won't attack your Griffins and problems. So you guys are also going to be contacting various organizations, you say?
I'm gonna go to the Jewelers Guild and the Most Careful Order of Skilled Smiths and Metalworkers in Waterdeep, just to touch base with them, explain the situation, get one representative of each, so they can come up and spend time scoping it out, getting it kind of set up, and then maybe establishing kind of a, you can have people up there, we'll be traveling around, you'll be trading. There's no cost to go up there, but there's a fee, a percentage of sales. I don't think we need to RP all that because that would be exceptionally boring. I would like it, but I don't think anyone else would. So let's just say we get a couple mid to upper level artisans from each guild to come up just to sort it out, see if it's what they want to do, and we can sign contracts and make deals after they decide it's useful for them.
Okay. So they'll do that once the ship has arrived. Carl, you were out. Erin inquired about Tetherian relics within the city, and Lord Amical had found that there is a flame-tongue sword with the crest of Tethir on it. It's not jewelry, but it's something that they have found within the city.
Well, when I chat with Aaron, I would express my interest in acquiring this item. Whether
Funnily enough, Artir, our friend, the Waterdeep Guard captain, he's the owner.
I would like to chat with this captain again and see if I can purchase it from him.
I'll go with.
Okay. So he is in the same place where you guys see him. He's the captain of the guard, so he tends to stay close to the rest of the men. Excuse me one second. I'm right about to sneeze. Sorry when I do. You'll see him, and he is willing to sell the sword, but it's going to be expensive.
How expensive?
Let me just find my notes on the price of that.
Right.
Okay. So he is willing to sell you the sword for a wonderful... Why didn't that... Okay, all right. So he will sell you the sword for 10,000 gold pieces.
Well, Mr. Captain, I would like to acquire this sword, as it is an artifact from my homeland. I also have to acquire this other piece of jewelry first, because that is assuredly an item that the intended recipient will appreciate. At 10,000 gold pieces, I do not know if I can afford both at this time. Do you use this sword on a daily basis? Is this something, or do you keep it hung up and like above your mantle or something?
This sword has served well in the defense of Waterdeep for a long time. Not just myself, but many a knight captain has protected the city with this sword.
It is a curious weapon to use as defense of one city that bears the crest of another. How did you know its history? How did you come by it?
Myself, I bought it from an old friend of mine, and he acquired it in a duel from someone else. All I know is it's been in the city for a while, and it's I don't know why it has the crest of Tethir on it. I just like the snake. Looks good the way it curls along the flag. It's great.
Did you say at one time it changed hands via duel? Was this something that was looted from a corpse, or was this a friendly wager that the loser had to give up this item?
The victor, he said it was a friendly wager that was agreed upon, but well, the victor writes the history books, I suppose. If we were to go back, I'm sure we might see things differently, but he won it in a fair duel, apparently. Of course, if you'd be, perhaps we could spar together sometime, if you'd be willing.
Would you be willing to put your sword up in such a wager?
In a one-on-one with you, looking you up and down, maybe.
Carl is delighted by this outcome, but Artir is definitely not showing it. Mr. Captain, I will come back. I have to acquire this tiara first. I do not know what it will cost me, so it is good to know that you are a sporting man, and I look forward to testing your might. But for now, I must acquire this other item first.
Very well.
Without would he accept trade?
Of greater value. Something worth 10,000 or more. Which for you would require the item to be a very rare item.
We do have a castle we could give him.
No, we don't.
There it is.
There we go. Excuse me. Sorry. So what are you thinking in terms of trade?
I was thinking I've got two swords that I'm probably not going to use now, and I was quite happy to trade them up.
Nope, you don't have your javelins out here. You have those in the hells, all of them.
Aaron's got Terminus and Hellreaver, but he doesn't. I think both of those would be rare items. I don't think they would for their level.
He might be willing to take both of them in replace of this flame tongue.
I offer that up to Artir as an option if he wants to take it.
No, my friend, keep your swords. There's no need. The tiara itself is really the only thing that we believe is necessary. This sword would be an ornamental thing. I do not think that either of us would use this weapon in combat, and I do not know that the Queen would appreciate such a sentiment. It is a nice thing to have as a backup, I think.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you know duel him? I think you can take him. Do you know what duel him? I think you can take him.
Yeah, I would like, in case I lose, which is always a possibility. I do not wish to then be out an amount of gold necessary to acquire the tiara. So.
Fair enough. So what are you doing in order to find this tiara? You know you might have some leads in Waterdeep, but what are you going?
Do I know that Laryl had connections to the Harpers once upon a time?
Yes.
Okay. Well, then I would suggest setting up a meeting with her.
If that message was shared to Lord Amical, he would set up a meeting with you all with her in her offices. You can meet up with her. Pleasant. It's a pleasant day when you do have your appointment and you're meeting with her. She made you wait a couple days. Just a little bit more than you think was actually necessary, but you can understand. I mean, that's what people in charge tend to do. Eventually, do bring you in to this room. Very clearly, it's the room has been set up for you to plead your case or whatever towards her. In that this ornate-looking audience chamber has a large wooden chair on one side, and then a bench directly in front of it for you all to sit on. That's just plain and bare, not really much about it. After you are led in, she is then brought in from behind, and in her long, rather slim blue dress, she sits down and welcome back. It's a pleasure to see you under appropriate circumstances.
I am taking notes. I am says, okay, this we need one of these, and we need one of these. And I like how she came in after. Okay, very good. This is good to know.
Lady Silverhand, how are you? How's Neverwinter?
Doing well. The city is prospering. The past couple days or so.
Good. Did Lord Neverember make it out alive?
Yes, he did. Yes.
Good. Excellent. Well, we come to you today seeking an item that's been lost to the ages. Last we heard about it was a legend having to do with the Harpers. And I know that, I'm from Silvery Moon and we have history. So I was wondering if you had any information about this tiara of Sherglinda, a Tetherian princess.
She begins to think and roll a perception check.
All of us, or just like
Anyone but Loic has the best chance of seeing it, as you have advantage because you kind of expect. You can see there are arcane activities going on with her thoughts. Her fingers are twirling in a sigil pattern. Her eyes just flare with a tiny little sparkle. I think I know the story of which you speak of. Poor thing that happened to the princess.
Something about pillows? I don't know.
Yes. It's a shame that Tethir and Waterdeep have struggled to have a solid relationship. It was a good thing when they figured out all of it was actually orchestrated by a member of the royal family in Tethir. Anyways, this tiara that you speak of, I do know of it. Why do you seek it? What do you want of it?
We're hoping to return it to the royal family of Tethir in hopes of re-strengthening bonds. I think everybody's in a spot where that could be attempted.
Okay. She goes on to explain a little bit more about what she knows of it. She knows that shortly after the Harpers were kicked out of Tethir, they worked tirelessly to recover any sort of Tetherian artifacts. And there was a proper hunt for this particular item. They found her jewelry, her rings, her necklace, which were all sent back over the years to Tethir, but they were unable to find the tiara. She stands up from her chair, walks over to the side of the room where there's a bookcase, and begins pouring through and pulls out
Tiara.
Notes.
Oh.
Not the tiara. No, she pulls out a book that has information on various relics of the ages and these sorts of lore and history, and draws your attention to an image of Sherglinda's tiara. This is the item of which you seek. Unfortunately, the Harpers lost track of it when a thief took it from them. And no amount of attempts between the Harpers and the Zentarum have been successful in recovering said art piece.
So what are the circumstances in which it disappeared? Tell me about what you guys knew when you last lost the trail. Any indications about who the thief was, or physical appearance, height, anything? Who saw it? Where did it happen?
It was about 50 years ago. It was commonly understood that the Harpers were attempting to use methods to extend their influence into other lands, and people learned, the Zentarum in particular, learned of this artifact that would hopefully plant them squarely within the city. Unfortunately, after that news became public, the thing disappeared. We believe the Zentarum were involved, but were unable to prove it, as no one saw the thief. No one knows who took it.
Whose care was it in? Was it in the Zent's care when it was taken?
No, it was in the care of the Harpers at the time.
And was it in Waterdeep?
Yes.
Okay. Is there anyone in the Zentarum that you want to work with? I know you don't want to work with any of them, but if you had to.
If I had to, I wouldn't.
Well, you at least have to follow up and ask them about their side of this.
I believe you've had dealings with the Zentarum here in the city before. I believe that's probably the best place to go and look for it. You might find someone that either still has it or would be willing to indicate where it is.
About that, last time we had dealings with the Zents, they told us they didn't want to work with us again. So I was hoping you might have.
You want me to be able to...
No, not you specifically. Maybe you know something, though, that would help us out. Maybe somebody owes somebody that you know's friend's sister's cousin.
Okay. This... roll a persuasion check, actually. Let's see. All right, fair enough. Charismatic as you are. Very well, very well. Obviously, in order to do such a thing, resources will be expended, connections, favors will be cashed in. It's possible I could maybe track down that of which you speak, but unfortunately, I would need some insurance from your side of things. I do not lend out my abilities for free.
What can we give you?
Favors, power, items, money, anything that would aid. In particular, you lot seem to be quite capable. I would love to have you officially signed on to do various tasks for me in the future, should I call upon you.
Artir, this is your...
Lady Lero, this crown is of eminent importance to the Queen of Tathir, Queen Aeneas. And if she were to learn that the Open Lord of Waterdeep was able to secure the crown and sought to its return to its rightful owners, she would most assuredly be open to trade talks with Waterdeep again. It is my understanding that it's two very rivaled or very historied domains would be enriched by such an arrangement, but because of these unfortunate circumstances lost to history, that they are at odds with each other. I would be happy to represent your interests in Tathir too, my queen, and she would most assuredly be pleased to receive this crown into her hands again.
Roll a persuasion check.
Which is on my character sheet, which is buried beneath this screen here. Persuasion.
24. Okay, the two of you as peas in a pod, just really working her down. Very well, very well. I suppose that makes things a little bit easier. Okay. I shall do what I can to track down this item. I will contact people, get them to acquire it. When will you need such an item? How much time do I have?
Well, we will be leaving the city in 4 days from now. So, before then.
Okay. Very well. I will do such a thing. However, I do applaud your desire to build up the relationship, and that cuts down the transaction to some degree. But if I do this for you, then I would like you to sign a contract right now to be willing to act should you be called upon to aid me in a task that I need. Twice in particular, actually. Now, granted, should those requests come in, they would not be illegal, and no innocence would be harmed in those. But otherwise, if you're willing to do these 2 tasks for me, and at some point, should I call upon you, I would gladly do this for you.
Do I believe in her assurances of legality?
Yes, you do.
Aaron's going to quietly whisper to Artir and go, technically your own sovereign state now. We can make an alliance with her. We don't need to necessarily... We can align our city with her and have shared alliances and make trade deals. Don't necessarily need to sign contracts to say that we will exclusively be under her beck and call.
Our city doesn't have any value to it. It's not alive yet.
What are you talking about? It's got Danric. So...
You're right. I'm sorry. It's very alive. It's probably thumping.
It's got potential, and knowing our track record, anything with potential blossoms and blooms, though.
I would be happy to sign an agreement with Lady Lero, and I would prefer not to put our future the future castle in her. To make any agreements with our future castle in exchange for these things. This is me trying to get an item, and I do not wish to put everyone else's interests on the line for it.
I am not saying that she gets the castle. I'm not saying that she thinks. I'm saying we make an agreement for alliance like any other town, like the Lord's Alliance.
I think we could get more than a castle, than a crown for such a thing. I think I am not opposed to such an agreement, but I do not wish for it to be to come at the cost of this crown.
I don't know if we want to be under. Like we could range this over having her call us in for a favor. Anything. We've had these before.
Just to clarify, is what she's asking for? Is she asking for the party's cooperation or Artir's cooperation?
Artir's.
Okay. I was exclusively Artir.
The rest of the party can do as is. You have your own responsibilities, but you, Artir, to get an item of Tetherian history, I would appreciate to have a Tetherian help me in some tasks that I may have coming up.
So, again, I do not wish to put the interests of, or that I do not wish to obligate the party. I am happy to just put my name to the line and sign away 2 favors for this noble queen.
Very well, very well.
Yeah. Aaron and Osrin are both looking at her going, is this sexual magnetism again? Has he pulled somebody? What are these favors? Insight check.
She's completely stoic. You get nothing from that. All right. She will have someone write up a promise. I, Artir, promise to should and blah blah blah. You sign the deal to help her in two favors, two tasks that she may need in the future, and she will begin work on tracking down and acquiring said tiara for you. She will take the 4 days. But at the end of the 4th day, or just before the end of the 4th day, at dusk, she will call you towards the to the tower, whereupon her servants, without her present, will deliver the tiara to you. There you go.
Thank you,
well
servant.
done on acquiring it. Anything else? Looks like you guys are pretty set now at this point.
I gotta go meet Pao Ming. That's it.
Yeah, I probably want to pay a visit to the guard captain.
Okay. So Pao Ming is there. She has her 20 people ready and waiting to find the ship and head out to it.
Have we been able to communicate at all with our ships on like where to actually land?
Yeah, I can do that.
All right.
So what is the plan? So Artir is actually, Artir is going to be dealing with the guard captain. So, are you challenging him to a duel?
Sir, you have an item that belongs to Tathir. I wish to acquire said item. Do you enter into honorable combat with me to defend your honor?
Honorable combat? Yes. I will gladly enter honorable combat with you.
I'll put $20 on the guard captain. Anybody want to join bets on this?
Can Pao Ming and all of her crew and us and everybody else all be gathered around watching this thing go down?
Absolutely.
I'll also make a wall of force dome so that you have to stay inside of the dome.
Can I do an insight check?
2 go in, 1 come out.
On the guard captain to try and size him up to see what the odds are against him and Artir.
I mean, he's a pretty hefty-looking individual. Broad-shouldered, heavy armor plating. You can roll an insight check.
Will he be using the flame tongue?
Oh, yes.
Oh.
Unless, well, he will give that choice to Artir. We have people on board to help bring people back should the worst happen, or we can go non-lethal.
I have challenged you. I defer to your choice of contest.
Then I say, let's go lethal. No holds barred. Just the two of us.
I'd like to conjure 8 methods to acquire peanuts and popcorn and start passing it out. And I will make them steam methods.
Okay.
Can I get insurances by the captain that his men, when he loses, doesn't attack Artir?
Gambler's going to play
absolutely.
bookie. He's just going to take bets from everybody. You know, take a small percentage, but he's just going to take bets on the fight.
Okay. Map is taking forever to update. There we go. All right. So he leads you off to this secluded area, the dueling ring, which, aided by the wall of force, really sets up something quite momentous. A huge area. Let me move us over to the battle arena.
Aaron's going to give him Artir a bit of a back rub, write him down, get the muscles going, pat him down, and in his ear, I know this is lethal. Don't kill him. the political fallout might be completely shit. Just do what you need to do, but keep them alive. Then roll them up.
Thank you.
All right.
And if you fuck up, we'll you wake up in the the chapel. It's all right. It's all good. Go. You're fine. Go.
It's good. I feel good.
That's
Then I would like, let me get rid of everyone that's currently on the initiative order. Go ahead and roll initiative.
At least there's only 2 people.
So he goes first.
Wait, I have advantage, so I gotta roll it again.
I think it's already done the advantage.
2d20, keep one. Yep.
Yeah. So somehow you managed to do so badly that 2 is the better of the options.
My dexterity is 3, so that
that's kind of
That's got to be broken.
Yeah. All right, go ahead.
Doesn't matter. I still go second.
Yeah. All right, cool. So top of the round with him. What's his movement speed? It's 30. So he will kind of circle around you a little bit to that position. You'll see him flex his muscles, pull out his flame tongue sword, and throw you a couple Eldritch blasts. So we have a 23 to hit you.
I still have my shield on, so that will miss.
Okay. And at this level, he launches, I think it's 3 blasts. Yeah, 3 blasts. So a 24 to hit.
24 hits.
Okay, you take 12 points of force damage. And then a 23 to hit.
Misses.
Okay. All right. Then that is the end of his turn. Artir, what would you like to do?
I would like to rage.
Okay.
I will drop my shield now. And I will march up to this man, and I will swing with my sword.
Okay.
I will do so recklessly to get advantage.
28 is going to hit, as will the 32.
And I will, of course, smite both. There's 2 rages. So, boop, boop, and boop. He isn't a fiend or undead, is he?
No, he's not.
Okay.
It never hurts to ask.
Okay. Anything else? Nice.
I am curious. This is a combat with swords, but you have shown arcane magics and thrown them at me. This is an intriguing strategy that you employ. I will say this to him.
Okay. Well, in response, just testing the waters a little bit. At which point he will. He's just going to swing with his sword against you. That's a 27 to hit.
This hits.
You take 17 points of slashing damage, cut down because you're raging down to 8 points of slashing. But you will notice as he must obviously pour some form of arcane energy into it, as it seems almost as if he's built specifically for Artir, and he expends a 2nd level Divine Smite against you.
Technically, I forget, isn't the flame tongue, you said you're using the flame tongue, isn't that all fire damage?
Good Good point. He's still resistant to flame time, to fire damage.
Jace.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, it still works the same. So it's an extra 14 points of radiant damage on top of that attack. So cut down because you're resistant to radiant as well, right?
Jace.
The only thing not resistant to is psychic.
Correct.
Correct. Okay. So that's an extra 7 points of radiant damage that you take. He'll then, twirling the blade around, go in for another attack. That's a 29 to hit.
This hits.
So that'll be 19 points of fire, cut down to 9. With another 17 points of radiant damage on top.
Also 9.
Yeah, cut down to 9. Yep, that's right. That's his 2 second level slots used up. All right. It is Artir's turn.
So does he appear to be raging as well?
No, he's not ranging.
Okay.
He's not a barbarian.
Okay.
Don't worry about it.
It's like, okay, well, I will then continue and be very showy in my raging to ensure that this is a distinguishing feature of me. Say, sir, I applaud your tactics. This is both very familiar and very disconcerting.
It's very effective. 27.
It's very courteous raging as well.
He's not, yeah. So the 27 will hit. However, the 21 will miss as he reactions and puts a shield up.
And I will do another smitings.
So 13 slashing plus 14 radiant. Okay. Oh, this is going well, he says. Anything else from you?
That is it.
Okay. Well, dancing around you, making a show of things. He's just gonna keep going as best he can. It's a 29 to hit.
Hits.
You take 16 fire, so cut down to 8 fire, and then a 28 to hit as the
Hits.
second attack. Okay, so 20 fire, cut down to 10. He does not smite those. And then it's your turn.
All right, sir. I will use my Hexblade curse on him.
Okay.
Which is there, but I will again. And one of my attacks I will exchange for a demoralize, which is
Okay.
part of my frightening presence. So I will make an intimidation check contested by his insight.
Okay. His insight is not very good. He rolls a 17.
All right, so he is frightened of me,
Ah,
and I will make my other attack.
28 will hit. You have advantage on it.
Jeez. And I will do the rage damage and the hexblade damage and my last level 2 smite.
11. Okay, he's looking pretty beat. Pretty beat up. Anything else from you, Artir?
That's it.
Okay. Well, he's going to use a bonus action to cast Thunderous Smite. And then he's going to hit you with his Flame Tongue Sword. That's a 30 to hit.
Hits.
Okay, so that's 19 points of damage plus an extra... so 19 fire cuts down to 9 fire damage, plus an extra 5 thunder damage, which cuts down to 2 thunder damage. But I need you to roll a strength saving throw.
I have advantage.
So 20, you do succeed, and you are not pushed away, at which point he will just go in with another attack. Afterwards, 32 to hit.
Hits.
20, fire, cut down to 10.
So he has advantage because I'm recklessly attacking.
Recklessly attacking.
But he has disadvantage because he's frightened. Right. So.
Yes.
Okay.
So it was a 32 and a 27
Okay.
for the rolls that he made. So,
this guy rolls like crazy. All right.
yeah. It's almost like I copied your character sheet. Okay. Artir, what would you like to do?
I will continue attacking.
Okay. I made changes, don't worry.
Attack twice more. What kind of armor does he look like he's wearing?
Oh, full on plate.
Oh, okay.
No. Yeah, heavy armor.
Okay, so then I will attack twice more without... Oh, that looks like a crit.
Were you recklessly attacking?
Of course, always.
Okay. All right. Would you like to pull a card from the crit deck for that one?
Yes, but I will also be... Okay, so...
Okay.
I will...
Do the damage for the first one first.
Okay, so... Rage. And now I'm on my level 1 smites. Okay, so that's the first one. And I would also use... Oh, wait. It's because I'm at half hit points. I also have my Winter's Fury for my mask.
Okay.
Okay, so I would also use a smite on the next one, just so I have that as a damage dice that I would do for the card.
Okay. So you are dealing slashing damage, correct?
J's.
Okay. So you get what you pay for. Maximum damage. So calculate what a max damage situation would be for you. And the two of you make a contested strength check. If the target loses, he loses his weapon.
That's appropriate. Okay, so it's 2d6 plus 2d8 plus 1d8 plus 2 plus 5 plus 6. So that's 12 plus 16 is 28 plus 8, that's 36, plus 2 is 38, plus 5 is 43, plus 6 is 49. So 49 damage.
And people wonder why I make things extra deadly.
And is he still standing to do a strength check?
Roll the strength check, just for thematics right now.
So it's just
at this point, because
plain
you know
strength?
for certain he is well below. So athletics, contested athletics checks.
I have advantage because I'm raging.
He rolled a 15. So in that moment, you swing your weapon, you cut it cleanly down the side of his arm, and instinctively the weapon just falls out of his hand by your feet, the flame dying down off it almost instantly. In the scream of pain with his arm sliced in two, he falls down to the ground. Clerics immediately rush in to heal him up, pick him up, and help him out, make sure he's all good and safe. But you have won the flame-tongue sword.
Crowd goes wild. Look, standing up like, yeah!
Well done, Artir.
I am very concerned for the fellow, so I am doing my laying on hands. I didn't mean to hit you so hard at that last strike. It was not my intention to cripple you.
He will one-handed try to start healing his own harm as well as the clerics coming and helping him out. This guy is a paladin, so he's able to do something. All right. So, with the victory in hand, He nods, concedes victory. It was a good match, a good fight, but I must rest. Perhaps I can challenge you again sometime.
Jace.
When you're done with all of your adventuring and want to retire, Waterdeep Guard could do with a new blood.
I telepathically say to Artir, the castle guard could use new blood too.
Jan, what are you doing? Do you? I mean, we have a castle and it flies in the sky. I mean, I don't want to brag or anything, but it's pretty cool. We also have a flying ship, and I mean, like you guys have griffins, we have griffins, and we have this lady who's a psychic, and she can read minds, and she's going to be in charge. I mean, we're going now to a very hospitable environment where it's very warm and sun's shining all the time, and there'll probably be adventures and dragons to fight, and all sorts of cool things. I mean,
There's strawberry daiquiris as well.
there's strawberry daiquiris and all the salted porks. I mean, you seem like a very accomplished fighter. It'd be a shame for your talents to go to waste as like a policeman here. Would you like to join us?
My duties require me to watch over the city. If I don't keep these boys in line, who knows what happens? And if I'm off adventuring and something terrible happens to those within the city, I would feel responsible. So as much as I appreciate the invite and feel the call to stand by your side, hacking and slashing away at everything, I must decline. For honor requires me to remain.
Oh, you are a very honorable opponent, and I applaud your decision to stay and do your duty.
Right. But now I need a new sword.
I just take the sword and walk away.
And just
Alright.
going to adjust the two on his and then just walk away.
Right.
I give him a handwritten voucher that's good for 10% off of a sword from the smithing guild.
For the smithing guild of what city?
The flying castle in the sky. We need a name for that place.
Yeah, we need a name.
Arteria.
Did it have a name already?
Yes.
Well, if it did, we're changing it. I'm not keeping some giant name on that thing.
What if it's really cool?
It was Skyreach Castle.
Does sound pretty cool.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
I like the part with the reach.
Yeah.
All right. So back to the city.
What does Realm
your
To Skyreach Castle?
Yeah.
He prefers the ground.
I think he prefers giants to living in their accommodations, but yeah, it'll be okay.
The ship will arrive the next day. All your preparations are in order. So is there any last minute stuff you guys need to do before sailing south to Tethir?
Okay, I'm going to be really boring. What's the finances on this stuff? Because we got to finance her crew and stuff like that. Do I need to take some gold out to help fund this thing?
I am happy to incur the expenses here. This is primarily we're advancing my own interests, so I do
Have
not
we
wish
purchased, if we're decking out the castle to look like it's Artir as a high roller, do we need to purchase banners and like heraldry and stuff to drape on the outside of it, so from a distance you can see like Artir's mark or colors or standard or whatever?
If you think that's necessary.
I do not know what the future will hold with regard to my family and my standing in Tethir, so I would not wish to make any expenditures that would be in line of my family's crest.
And Aaron, just so you know, the deal with Pao Ming was that she would take a percentage of incoming financial gains.
But there's some initial outlays, like
Yeah.
there may be some upfront costs,
Yeah.
and it'll be self-sustaining eventually. But for the immediate term, we may have to make some payments.
Yeah.
I will say I want to hire one low-level spellcaster who has just enough skill to start doing a teleportation sigil in our castle, and put him up for a year so that happens. But I don't want to be overpaying, so get the cheapest spellcaster we can find.
We could probably use a cook.
Pao Ming was going to get a cook.
Was she going to get a cook?
Yeah, she was going to get a cook. So it's a 5th level bard, sorcerer, wizard spell.
I'll make it a bard. He can play songs to keep the rabble happy at night, make his way. Actually, tell you what, bard, I've got a place where you can have a captive audience every night. All you have to do is spend some time every day working on the sigil, and you can have full run of the only tavern in town.
Deal.
Woot.
Deal.
Except for Thursday nights, which are damn nights.
Okay. So you have a individual working on a teleportation circle. It will take him a year to finish it. It'll be unique to your city. The way that'll work from that point on, obviously, Loic will know the sigil and be able to teleport to the city whenever you need to, but only those that you grant access to that sigil will have it. Typically, most cities will buy the rights to have a sigil off of you, so you can earn a little bit of revenue from that. All right. You begin sailing south along the Sword Coast, the air slowly getting warmer and warmer with every passing day that you fly further and further away from the cold mountains towards the warm land of Tethir. Everything seems to give you a wide berth, as you're a pretty big city. You do see every few days that flying creatures do tend to get close enough to just watch you for a bit. There are some eagles, some giant eagles, that tend to fly along the coast, check you out for a bit, fly with you for a couple miles, and then back off. And you tend to get that sort of behavior from a lot of things, but nothing truly threatening. You finally crest over the cloud peaks into Am, and the entire land just seems to shift in its aesthetic. No longer do you see the lush green fields beyond that are the plains of the north. When you pass over this threshold, everything that isn't dense forest is just desert as far as the eye can see. It's a very empty place as you begin to sail further and further down. Unless you choose to avoid it or any particular path, you will cross over the cloud peaks right on the coast above Athkatla, and then start making your way towards Daramar. And we will pick up the adventure next week as the party enter the city of Daramar because you went to Waterdeep first. It'll actually have ended up being a total of 23 days since you acquired the actual ship, the flying ship. So I'm assuming that means that Artir at some point indicated that to Jug.
The bard.
Yeah, the bard. I know Jarged, wasn't it?
Jeridan.
Jeridan. There we go. Jeridan. Sorry, Jeridan. That you will be late, but you will be coming with a pretty decent arrival.
I would also be telling him that we'll be heading to the Forest of Mir to see if we can find this viper ahead of landing in Daramar. So if he has any additional information. This would be
And we
helpful.
will find out next week what information he has about that as we go on the hunt for the Viper. Join us next week, guys. Bye.
Bye.